In this video, I'm going to be going over everything that you need to know whenever it comes to selling your home. There's a ton of great information here, so even if you're an educated seller or somebody who's kicking around the idea of selling for the first time, or you could be somebody who has no interest in selling whatsoever, I think there's still a lot of great information here for you. My name is Elliot Dodson, and I'm a real estate agent here in DFW with REAL Broker. I've been a top producing agent over the past 5 years, and my main focus is educating consumers on how to best sell and buy real estate. Everything in this video comes from experience of the DFW market and just the industry as a whole. If you're someone who's considering selling and would like to set up a listing consultation with me, click the link in the description. In my experience in the beginning stages of the process, there's frequent questions that pop up among potential sellers. Should I hire someone, or why should I hire someone to sell my house? We're going to go over the different options that you have whenever it comes to listing your property. What's going on in the market right now? Is it a good time to sell? I will go over what makes it a good time to sell versus maybe not so good time to sell. How are you going to go about marketing my property? And how do I know how much I should list my home for, or how much is my home worth? Establishing your why, or the focus behind what is causing you to sell the home, is something that I always ask of my sellers. Is it relocation? Is it promotion? Is your family growing, or is your final kiddo just leaving the nest? Could be an inheritance. It could be divorce. But establishing your why will really help you understand exactly what strategy you need to implement whenever it comes to selling your home. Now, there's different kinds of agents and services that you can utilize when it comes to selling your home, and there's pros and cons to each of them that I want to go over with you. Number one is for sale by owner. This is when you decide to sell your home without utilizing an agent's services. In this option, the pro is that you're not having to pay an agent's commission fee. But on the flip side, because you're not utilizing an agent's services, your home is not being listed on MLS, which is what is utilized by an agent in order to broadcast that listing. When an agent goes about listing a home in the MLS, it automatically uploads the third-party websites that you're familiar with, like Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com. Therefore, since you're not using an agent, you have to go and upload those on your own. Also, you're going to be handling the paperwork, the negotiations, the marketing, the advertising, the open houses, and the showings. Now, there's a newer service that's out basically that is you pay to put it on the market. Typically, these services are a flat fee or a flat percentage that's lower than what your average commission costs are, and you're paying to put the home on the MLS and just about nothing else. Now, I've actually experienced a couple of these instances whenever I was representing buyers here recently in the last few years. I've had a few of these pop up last year, and the seller basically handles all the negotiations and the showings themselves. There is no marketing or advertising at all from the broker. Now, the third one I'd like to discuss is a discount broker. These agents are more frequent, and sometimes brokerages as a whole implement this value proposition, which is that you pay less for the services but get the same results. Now, these agents are usually offering this because if they're going to take less, they aren't going to invest as much into your property. You'll probably get professional photos and maybe a couple of posts on Facebook or other social media platforms about the listing. But that's going to be the most that you get out of their marketing efforts. And I'm really not bashing them, because typically this could be a good option for somebody depending on your situation. Now, last, there's the full service broker. This is someone who works as a full-time agent typically. They are knowledgeable of different marketing tactics that can be utilized to sell your home. And typically they're not afraid to put their money where their mouth is. This means paid advertising, open houses, staging, and professional photography. They typically have a team of people that they work with to help you sell the house for the most money. Now, this option usually costs more, but what does that actually look like? You're always free to negotiate this amount with your agent, but the average percent to list in the DFW is typically right around 5 to 6%. Now, do understand, not all of that goes to the listing agent. This is typically split. You are paying the listing agent's broker first, who takes their portion. Then we'll give the agent their portion. Now remember, we're 1099 individual contractors, so our taxes aren't taken out of our paychecks. Therefore, a responsible agent should be putting money into a separate account to pay off those taxes. Now, the other half of the commission typically goes to the agent that brings the buyer, and it goes through the same process. That goes to the buyer's agent's broker, who they take their portion, and then the rest goes to the buyer's agent. I do want to make a note that you are not technically required to pay a buyer's agent. And these are variable amounts that you have the ability to negotiate and discuss. But the good agents will be able to show you their worth and why it makes sense to pay them a reasonable amount. I always like to ask, what's more important to you? The money you're paying up front or the money that's in your bank account at the end of the sale? It's always a good idea to interview different agents when you're thinking about selling your home. Here's a few questions that you should really consider asking upon meeting those agents. How many properties do you typically sell a year? Is it 1 or 2? Is it a dozen? Is it 100? This is going to give you an idea of what kind of agent you're going to be represented by. Of those homes, what's your list price to sale price ratio? Are they typically selling homes for the price that they listed at, or are they going through price reductions? What's your average days on market when you list properties? This will tell you if they believe what they're saying, if they tell you that it should sell in a weekend. What's the percentage of homes that you actually sell? Do any of their listings expire or cancel due to them just not being able to get the job done? Or what happened in those instances? Now let's switch gears and talk about what makes a good market to sell versus maybe a not so good market to sell. If there's an abundance of homes that are currently on the market that are similar to yours, in the same area, and not moving or selling, and no recent sales to speak of either, then it's probably not the best time to sell. If there aren't a lot of homes that are on the market that are similar to yours, but there are still quite a few sales, that means homes are going quick, and it's probably a great time to sell. Now, at the time that I'm making this video, we're currently in a more neutral market. The good homes that are priced correctly are still going pretty quick, but there are also quite a few homes that are sitting. And that's where later parts of this video are going to come into play and ensure that you have the right expectations whenever it comes to selling your home. Now let's take a minute to talk about the different strategies of marketing a property. As I said earlier, typically when you hire an agent, they're going to put the listing on the MLS. That in turn gives all the third-party websites that you're familiar surfing for homes on the ability to access your listing. Professional photos are a great way to grab the attention of a potential buyer. Everyone seems to have that one feature in their house that's going to help the house stand out or show uniqueness from other homes. It's just good marketing to ensure that that photo is at the very beginning of the carousel. That way you draw in the buyer and keep them from scrolling to the next house. But what can you do outside of just good photos, which is where a lot of agents tend to focus? There's print marketing or mailers that you can send out to a neighborhood to see if anyone has family or friends that's looking to move to their location. There's social media marketing that allows you to broadcast to even more people. A lot of times agents that follow me on social media platforms will share my listings, and that allows me to cast an even wider marketing net. There are digital ads that can be run through Google, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and a lot of other platforms as well. As you well know, people live on their phones now, so it's important to have someone advocating for you that understands the concept of what digital ads bring to the table and how important they can be to maximizing your exposure. Staging the home is another tactic that can be expensive but also very beneficial. Every staging company's punchline is going to be, it costs less to stage a house than your first price improvement. Typically, staging is going to run anywhere from $1,500 up to $10,000 plus, depending on the size of the home and how many bedrooms or rooms you fill. Some agents will pay for a staging consultation, but will allow you to take the notes that the stager leaves you, and you pay for any of the recommendations that they offer. Staging isn't something that's always necessary, depending on one's cleanliness and the design work of the homeowner. I've had many a times where a stager comes through, we declutter and organize the home in a way that utilizes the seller's own furniture, but still helps it stand out more. Now let's shift gears to pricing the home. There's a couple of different strategies that you can utilize to price your home, and your agent's likely going to go over every single one of these. However, today I'm going to go over all of these different strategies and understand that these do depend on your situation. If you're somebody who's getting relocated for work or has a strict deadline, you may want to go below market value to ensure that the home sells quickly and potentially starts a bidding war amongst buyers. If you're someone who has time and is looking to accomplish a certain price, you might be able to overshoot market value and see if somebody is willing to come and pay your price. There are pros and cons to each of these strategies. And I would say that a good agent is going to have a go-to-market price along with a marketing strategy that should help you sell your home in the amount of time you're looking for at the price that you want. Now, there's always two sides to every coin, and the truth is, going to market over value may not be the best strategy if you do have a strong why to move. What could potentially happen is that you go through several price improvements, and the home ends up selling for less than the right go-to-market price. If you price the home under market value, and you have an agent that does everything that they can to grasp the proper market exposure, you could end up with multiple offers in a weekend and potentially get more than what you considered going to market at the overvalued price. In my experience, people always tend to be interested in what the masses want. However, the longer your home sits on the market, the less likely it is that you get your price. Any good agent is going to take into consideration who the ideal buyer is for your home. So I want you to think about this as well. Are you in a smaller 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot house? If so, you might be looking for a first-time home buyer, or a young family, or maybe somebody that's looking to downsize. Are you in a larger 4,000 square foot, 5-bed, 4-bath with a pool home? Your average first-time home buyer isn't going to have the finances to pay for this, and you're likely not going to be getting anybody looking to downsize to 4,000 square feet either. But maybe a more established family that's looking for their third home would be your ideal buyer. Are you in a good school district? You're likely going to get offers from buyers that have kids. These are just different criteria that could alter who your potential buyer could be, and it's something for you to think about. Pre-listing inspections aren't always bad. The buyer is going to conduct one, so isn't it good for you to know what things look like? And that way you can either put it out there or go ahead and fix those issues before you go to market. However, again, this just depends on the situation. If you live in an older home, it might make sense for you to utilize this strategy. If you just bought the home 2 years ago as a new build, you may not need to do that. Now, what happens when you actually receive an offer? Well, you can accept it or not, but you can always counter as well. And counters aren't always just about the sales price. It could be that the close date needs to be adjusted, or you need a lease back, which means that you get to stay in the property for an allotted time after you close on the property. It could be that you want a higher dollar amount associated with the option period, or more in earnest. There are a number of things that you can adjust in the contract. It's not just about the sales price. Now, a lot of times I get asked, do open houses work? What I typically do is I advise my clients to get out of town if they can the first weekend. That way we can try to maximize the exposure, allow as many appointments as possible, and allow me to open up the door for a couple of hours each day over the weekend to make sure that we get as many eyeballs and people walking through the home as possible. Remember, at the end of the day, it's all about exposure. The more exposure we get, the better chance it is of you getting a buyer, because we all know it only takes one to get the deal done. I hope you find this information valuable as you embark on your home selling journey. If you did, please hit that like button. And if you have any questions, thoughts, or experiences about selling in the DFW, I'd love to hear in the comments below. There might be an opportunity for you to help others who are trying to navigate this process. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth tips on how to buy and sell real estate here in DFW. I'm here to help you make informed decisions. Whether you're a first-time seller, somebody who's sold many properties, or everything in between. And again, if you're somebody who's seeking personalized assistance, my contact details are in the video description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.